The space just ended. The space just ended. I listened to 2 hours of it. I think it was going on for even longer than that. I don't know how long it had already been going on before I actually jumped in. So what happened this morning is white supremacists put together a Twitter space called something along the lines of, do black women belong in public spaces? It's pretty horrifying. It's pretty fucking horrifying. So Ben Dixon set up a counter space for, and almost 100% of the people he called on to be speakers were black women, rightfully so, to process their feelings around this white supremacist attack that happened this morning on Twitter. I think, I did actually raise my hand, but I'm not offended that I wasn't called on. I'm a white chick. What the hell even? I mean, if I did get called on, I'd be really honored that you included my voice, but my voice is not even necessary to this conversation. It's not about me, other than I want to be an ally in this moment, but I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. Some of the voices on there, I captured about an hour of it and I loaded it to YouTube. I don't even know. Well, I mean, it was a public place, so I think it's okay to capture that. But it went on for a lot longer than that. I did capture about an hour of it, and I've put it on my YouTube channel. But here's some thoughts that, in the time that I was on that space, here are some of my thoughts. Some of the things that I think y'all missed is that Twitter let that happen. Twitter let that happen. So Ben Dixon named his space I think it was something to the effect of, are there too many white men taking up public space? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And this was an ugly display of it this morning. And I think the point that was missed is that Twitter allowed that to happen. And why did Twitter allow that to happen? Because it's dominated by white men. Why do organizations like Our Revolution and PDA and other progressive organizations still align themselves with Jimmy Dore and the Convo Couch and Nico House? Why do they push women out who don't completely align with that particular logic? Because they're dominated by white men. And even in the cases when they're not dominated by white men, they're dominated also by people who consider themselves allies to white supremacy, allies to white men. Like Nico House is one of those people, where they will propagate hate, even if it's subtle, even if it's being done subtly. They will go ahead and align themselves with people who they know for a fact are propagating hate, and give a pass to that, make it normalized, make it acceptable. They'll go ahead and do that. And that's happening in the Progressive Caucus. That's happening, the California Democratic State Party Progressive Caucus. It's happening in a lot of progressive groups, where they defer to the storyline of a white man like Jimmy Dore or like Tim Johnson, and they will defer to that to push out the detractors who disagree with their hateful rhetoric. And that's what we saw happen on Twitter this morning. So on Twitter this morning, a space was created to specifically target black women. Did Twitter take it down? No. They didn't fucking take it down. This should actually be covered by the news. It should be covered by the news that this happened. Will it? Probably not. It's probably not going to be covered by the news. Probably won't be covered by the news, but it should be. And for every one of you out there that's a leader of an organization, that you continually propagate this bullshit and allow this shit to happen because you are more concerned with a hashtag class struggle over attacking specific marginalized groups with shit like this. Wow. Wow. So I did raise my hand. I did not get called on. I'm not offended that I didn't get called on. That was not my space. That was my place to be an ally and listen to what they had to say. The one thing that I wanted to talk about was not only that Twitter is dominated by white dudes, so of course they don't see a problem with... How can you be in 2021 and not see a problem with such a hate-based thing happening on your social media platform? But the other thing that I wanted to say was that in Orange County, roughly only 2% of our population is Black. Yet, hate crimes in Orange County, according to Katie Porter's statistics, have increased by something like 2,000% during the pandemic. And that's been mainly directed at the Asian, the API community, but also at our incredibly small Black population. At the same time, the Democratic Party of Orange County has done a lot to lift up candidates of color, especially not only our Latinx candidates, but the candidates that we have that are African American, right? The mayor of Tustin is a strong Black woman who currently has a book out called My Mommy the Mayor. How do you combat hate with positive information? I personally want to buy this book. I haven't done it yet because I'm like in a poor situation. I'm poor, right? But I definitely want to get the book because I want to give it to my granddaughter. That was shocking. That I don't even like pay attention to the spaces because I've been so busy. I've been so busy walking blocks that I haven't really paid attention to these spaces, but it came up, like a screenshot of it came up in my feed that this was going down. And then I got the notification because Ben Dixon, we do follow each other on Twitter. And so I did get the notification that he created a space. And I jumped in on it and I saw all of this going down. And I got to tell you, the ladies who spoke up, there was a few men. He selected a few men, but it was mostly ladies. They were some of the most intelligent, strong, and, emotionally collected. Like, I was crying during a lot of it. I don't know how y'all kept your emotions together. I don't know how you did it. I was crying during a lot of it because that's horrifying. That's fucking horrifying. And the only segment of our population who doesn't have to feel this kind of horror of being attacked for your identity, being attacked for something, the pigment of your skin or your gender or your sexual preference or your gender identity or your disability or whatever it is, the only section of the population that doesn't ever have to face that bullshit are white dudes. That's it. You're the only ones who don't ever have to really know what it feels like to lose a job, to lose a promotion, to get fired, to get pushed out of an organization, to be made fun of in a comic situation. Like, you really don't get it because it has never actually targeted you to such a degree that it could actually impact your life. Like, for you, if there's a joke against white dudes. It's just like, whatever. But for us, it could actually have life consequences. And that's why what happened this morning was so impactful to all of the people who actually saw it. Because that sort of rhetoric could actually have life consequences for them. That was shocking. That was fucking shocking. And Twitter let that happen. Twitter let that happen. Because there was dozens and dozens of women on that space who said straight up they reported the other space. They reported that other space for being hateful. But you know what? Twitter and Facebook don't actually have categories where you can seriously report like hate crimes. And on top of it, where they do not consider sexism and misogyny a hate crime against women. They don't consider that at all. They don't have a category for that. And so if men attack women, it's not a big deal to these fucking white male dominated platforms. That was shocking. All right, I'm going to try and get on with my day.